What's good? My name is Chugi808. I'm a music producer and recording artist. Today I'm going to be doing a mix and master breakdown, show you how I mixed and mastered this project. We are going to be going over how I did a few things: routing, groups, gain staging, EQing, and then we'll get into mastering. Let's get straight into it. First thing I'd like to show you is how to route channels to your mixer. I prefer routing as soon as you add a new channel into the channel rack, so you can already start pre-mixing as you make the beat. Let me show you how to route. So you would open your channel rack, select everything. We wouldn't want to route that. Go to your mixer, right click on the first track, channel routing, route selected channels from this track, and you have successfully routed. Once you have routed, create groups for your melodies: drums, 808, sub bass, all that. This is to easily control everything. Now let me show you how to make a group. Let's say we want to make a new group. I already have groups made, but this will just be for an example. You would hold in shift on an empty channel and scroll up with your mouse. I like putting my groups at the start because it's much more neater. We rename it. Let's say it is drums example. Give it a nice color. Let's give it purple. Codeine Fiend. Okay, we've successfully made a group. Now let's say you want to route the drums to here. What you would do is select your drums in the mixer, right click this arrow, route to this track only, and you would do that for all your drums. And you would make a group for your 808, route your 808 into that group, that's routed to there, and you would make one for your melodies too, and then route them to a melodies group. Okay, now that we have routed and grouped, we can gain stage. And what gain staging is, it's practically controlling the volumes for each individual track and just balancing them in the mix to get a cleaner mix. Let me give you an example of what that is. So in Fruity Loops, I'm sure most of us are using Fruity Loops, but I'm sure it's the same throughout all DAWs, right? What you would do in Fruity Loops is hold down Control and click all the tracks, well, except for the groups. We wouldn't want to do it to the groups. Select all the tracks and bring down all the faders to 0. And then you would start bringing them up slowly, slowly, slowly. So let's give an example with this one, the lead key. We will bring it up slowly. I like my keys, my melodies to be around 30 dB and 24 dB. That's to give my mix headroom for the mastering stage. That's about right. Moving on to EQ. Let me explain EQ because I've seen a lot of people misuse EQ. I'm not saying that I'm a master at EQ. No, I'm not a master. I'm just saying I'm just going to teach you what I know. Right? Let's go to the EQ of these melodies here. So what I've noticed a lot of people do, they just slap a EQ on and just start boosting stuff, dragging stuff down with no purpose. You know, it has no purpose. Why are you boosting that? You should boost or remove with purpose. So my law to it is roll off lows in instruments that dominate in the highs and mids, roll off highs in instruments that dominate in the low frequency. So for this lead key, it was dominating the mid and a bit of the highs. So I cut out the lows to make space for the 808 and the kick. And I done that for practically all my melodies. Yeah, I done it for all my melodies except for that one. As you can see, roll off the lows. When mixing a kick, you don't want to do too much that you lose dynamics, and on the 808, you don't want to lose the bassy feel. You want to enhance it. Always remember, less is more, and trust your ear majority of the time. Just trust your ear. Let's see what we did with the kick over here. So we've got an EQ cutting away the highs, boosting a bit of the sub bass area. And as you can see, I've got it routed to my drums group. We'll come and take a look at what's in the groups, what I put in the groups. But for now, let's look at this. I'll explain what a peak controller is now. Then I added another EQ on the kick, just boosting the mids up a bit, just so it pops out on small speakers. Let me show you what this peak controller does. First, let me show you the 808. Put some EQ on the 808, boosted a bit of the bass area, and added a fruity fast distortion, a bit of distortion. So back to this peak controller, what this peak controller does is every time the kick hits, the 808 dips, so that there's no fight for space. They're not battling each other for space. Let me show you an example. Put the kick on and the 808 on, show you what it does. See that? It's dipping every time. And the way to use it is to load it on your kick channel. Once you've loaded it, you right click your 808's fader, link to controller, pick plus LFO, accept, and then you can just copy the settings I have here. Hi-hats and perks. Well, let's take a look at what I do to my hi-hats and my perks. Here's a perk right here, open hat. I'll show you the snares too while we add it. Hi-hats. Let's play that back. So on the hi-hats, we've got EQ, the groove as I like to call it, and this dominates the high frequencies. Your hi-hats, perks, open hats. So I 95% of the time only EQ in that area, it dominates. As you can see, the hi-hats dominate in the highs, so I EQ that area only. I added some reverb and a fruity balance just to give it stereo separation. Okay. My snare, there's just EQ. As you can see, cut off a bit of the lows. Open hats, reverb, the perks, reverb, and some EQ. Just cutting out the lows. Play around in the area, it dominates. On to mastering. Mastering is practically just making the overall mix louder than it currently is. So keep in mind that if you mixed crappy and sloppy and you were lazy to go EQ stuff that you hear is problematic, don't expect a good master. Just don't do it. So I'm going to remaster the whole song so that you get a slight understanding of the process. But first, I'm going to play you what it sounds like with stuff on the master, and then we're going to go and look at what we did. So let's play it from here. So with the master off, this is how it sounds. Let's put it on. But before we get to that, let me explain what was on the groups. I see I forgot to explain that. On the 808 group, I've just got an EQ. It's this one, 20 hertz to 18 kilohertz. I just cut those parts, and then I added an SSL channel, one of my favorite EQs from Waves. This is one of my favorite. I added that on. That's on the 808 group. On the drums, I added an EQ, boosted a bit of the bass areas, bass, low, mid there, and I boosted a bit of the highs. And then I added an SSL. Onto the melodies, I just added an S1, a stereo imager from Waves, one of my favorite images too. Waves is just the best. Waves has the best plugins. Not that I'm sponsored by them to say this or anything, but they're really good at what they do, what they make, and their plugins are actually quite cheap. They unbelievable prices. Let's move on to the mastering. So let's take everything off. Let's play it again one time. Let's play it again with and without. This is without. With. So let's do it from scratch. Delete. So what I would normally do is highlight a part that's got everything playing, and that's the hook for me in this case. And then first thing is to add overdrive, one of my favorite plugins. No lie, it's how can I explain this? It adds classical distortion. You know, it's got a bit of compression and brings out the soft sounds. It's a nice plugin. Add Fruity Blood Overdrive. You can see the difference it makes already. After that, we would go and add Maximus. Now, first thing you would do is go and get your bands in the right places, which is here. You click here by the bands, go to the low, and using this knob, we would check around for where the lows are mostly dominating. For me, that's normally around 140 hertz, 130 hertz, somewhere there. Just look for it. Monitor. For the mids, we would roll off on this one, it says highs, until we hear just a bit of the hi-hats. Not too much, just a bit. Let me show you what I mean. I can still hear the hi-hats. Roll it off until you slightly hear them. That's about perfect. Then we don't need to do anything with the highs because we've already fixed it up. Right, then what we would go on to do is let's compress, yeah. We'll click on monitor. for the mids. Ooh, my bad. That's where our average volume is. Hit it like that. Maybe 2 down. Everything, your high. And then on the lows, make them mono. Your mids, we separate them, let's say 20%. Your highs are like going 25% to 30%. Let's go for 20% now. And that will be it for the low, mids, and highs. Now we move on to the master. Drop this down, play back. And you can start pushing the volume up like this, making it louder. Ooh, it's clipping. That's my computer giving me problems. Let's just fix those clicks quickly. And after that, we just add in an imager. I like the S1. That's my favorite. You can use any other imager. I'm sure Fruity Loops has stereo shaper and stereo enhancer. You can add those just to give your beat a bit of spatial space, stereo space. And let's play back. Without, with. I hope you learned something. Let me know in the comments below what tutorials you would like to see, and I'll see to make tutorials requested. Much love, stay safe, until next time.
Nice, okay.